This video is proudly recorded and produced on OpenBSD. In the recent video I published about how to run Docker on OpenBSD. A viewer commented whether Docker Compose is available on OpenBSD or not. I searched the port tree, but unfortunately there is no Docker Compose on port tree. But I decided to try and compile Docker Compose on OpenBSD and see whether I can make it work or no, since I use Docker Compose quite often myself. There are two versions of Docker Compose, version 1 written in Python, and this version is getting phased out in favor of version 2, however it still is fully functional and it gets security update. Version 2 is written from ground up using Go programming language. I started with compiling version 2, however it failed miserably since underneath it uses bunch of syscalls that are specific to Linux operating system. I decided to try my luck with version 1, and version 1 surprisingly it worked. So here how I did it. The first step is to install pip3, Python 3 and also Rust. Surprisingly we need Rust as well. So do as pkg-add and Rust. After that we can run pip install Docker Compose and this will install Docker Compose version 1. Now we have Docker Compose, as you can see, and let's try it out. For that one I'm going to start my VM, then I go to a project that I have a Docker Compose file. This one is MySQL and WordPress. Let me show you the file quickly. So this is the file structure, so let's try to run it. Prior to that one we have to export the Docker host environment variable. Export Docker host SSH, then we have to specify the IP address of the VMM. Now if I do docker ps, Docker should work. The next step is to just run Docker Compose up. Docker Compose is a bit slower on OpenBSD because underlying VM only uses a single core of CPU and there is no way as of now to increase the CPU cores in VMM, and also Docker Compose has to bring more than one container up, so that is a bit slower. Now it's up and running. Let's try to open the WordPress. So I type 100.64.1.3, the IP address of the VMM, and as you can see here is the WordPress loading from a Docker Compose file. That's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I would like to take a moment to thank Patreon contributors: Grok with $30 generous, Stellar Orbit with $20 generous, OpenBSD Maximalist, Alexander M, OpenBSD Enthusiast, DM'd, John Collins, and Liquid Mobius.